Welcome to Nevertheless Weekly Podcast by Bidemi Mark-Mordi, a podcast dedicated to organic leaders and leaderpreneurs. Today, you will discover how to discern your purpose and live powerful.
Hello, welcome to Nevertheless. It's another Friday and we're bringing this your way. It's been a very great month of August. I think we should celebrate a milestone. We had for the first time ever over 1,000 downloads in 1 month, and that happened in this series on relationships, and it is exciting to see how useful our content is to you. Thank you, and keep them coming. Like, share, go to my Facebook page, leave a message. Everything to do to spread the joy, please do. We've been looking at the series on relationships, and I have been enjoying the comments and the feedback that I've been getting. Some people never want to have comrades in their circle of influence. They say, I don't need any comrade, I'm just fine. Some other people want to have more constituents than they have comrades. But one thing everybody agrees on is that everyone needs a confidant. And I'm excited that you are here and you want to hear more. Before I bring today's episode your way, I'd like to just take care of a few housekeeping issues. We plan to, just going through this series on purpose and how meaningful it can be if we live purposeful lives, how powerful our lives have become. I've had a lot of people ask me a lot of questions. And so we are thinking that we can answer those questions. So one day soon, if you keep your ears peeled and your face and your eyes on my page, I'm sure that you will get to hear in another 6 weeks something we're doing that you may be able to take an advantage of, so that you can discover and discern your purpose to the end of living a powerful life. Today's topic, like I said, is a continuation on the series of purpose. And yay! High point for my week is that remember last week I talked about the bucket list, and I mentioned that on my bucket list is to meet Pastor Ron Carpenter. Yay! I'm one step closer. No, he didn't send me an email, but he retweeted or he favorited my tweet. So I now know that I'm in his space. So I'm sure he'll be looking out for me. Just the same way I'm planning and I'm praying and I'm hoping that dream on my bucket list comes through very soon. And the thing is, no, I'm not stalking him. I just know he carries a major anointing, and it will be a blessing to sit under his ministration. That's all for now. Thank you, Pastor Ron. Keep them coming. Those favorites made my day this morning. God bless you. Now to today's podcast. What are we talking about?
You're listening to Nevertheless Weekly Podcast by Bidemi Mark-Mordi.
I'm back. Today we're looking at how to nurture these powerful relationships in our lives. A confidence doesn't become one overnight. A confidence is something or a relationship that is grown over time. So the question for today is, how do you grow your relationships from acquaintances into the place where they become confident? And is it everyone who makes it into your space that has the potential to become a confidant? Why do we need to even answer this question? Because I think some people, at least I've had that experience, think that because confidants are into us, then they don't require anything from us. And I'm of the opinion that every relationship must be give and take. If you're not giving in a relationship, you can be sure you'll soon be cut out of it. Because in my mind, it's only the grave that takes and never gives back. So relationships that are built to the point that people become confident for each other are relationships that are nurtured, relationships that are worked on, relationships that are held in high esteem, relationships that are pampered, relationships where truth is told. And so today I want to take us through some templates that I have in my book, Sister Power. That was the first book I ever published, Sister Power, Discovering the Power of Collaborations. Is that it? Yes, Discovering the Power of Collaborations. And in that book, the link for that book where you can find it to buy it will be in this show notes. But in that book, I talked about the rules of engagement. I talked about the ease of engagement, of relationships or of collaborations, because the confidence relationship, like I mentioned last week, is the highest form of relationship with man you have outside of your spouse. Your spouse should be at the top, but you see, you also need other people. Someone left me a comment on Facebook this morning saying, well, that when you have confidence and they're like 5, then it becomes a crowd, and that he will prefer to limit or narrow his confidence down to just his spouse. And I said, well, if that works for you, that is great. But the truth of the matter is, there are some things that I need for my destiny that my spouse cannot contribute because he's just not equipped to contribute them. So the idea is, I will find, if I can find another a confidant somewhere who has those tools to contribute to my journey towards destiny, I will get there sooner than if I stuck with my spouse alone. Then when I said that, I remember also that when I talked about 5 confidants, I said if you have 5 in your lifetime, that is throughout your entire life, if you can boast of 5 confidants, then you can tell that you are of men or women most blessed. So the idea is not that all this confidence show up in your life at the same time. I have been blessed that I had a number of them show up in my life at the same time. And contrary to other people's expectation, I've not had issues with that. We've just been really chummy and really nice to each other. And what I notice is each one of them is a go-to person for a different part of my life. So even though they're in my life and my space at the same time, not every one of them answers or is a solution to every problem or every challenge that I face. Now, that said, I said that we are looking today at how to nurture relationships so that we can grow them to the point that we can point at 1 or 2 or 3, depending on what it is you're looking for, and say, this one is a confident relationship. This person is into me and not into what I am against or into what I'm for. They are into me for me. Do you want to find out how to do this? Then just hold on, don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
You're listening to Nevertheless Weekly Podcast by Bidemi Mark-Mordi.
Question: how do people become confident? First, they know you, then they like you. And then if they like what they see, they know you, then if they like what they see or what they know about you, they begin to like you. And if they like you considerably, they begin to trust you. That's the way it begins. And before you know what is happening, you move away from a relationship that is on the peripheral, and they begin to have access to you and you begin to have access to them. And before you know what is happening, you form a bond. So how do people become confident? It begins by they know you. Everyone meets someone. Even the wife you're married to today, you met her someday, isn't it? And I can assure you that she was not the only girl you met in that week, but she was the one you settled for eventually, or you decided to marry eventually. What's the difference between her and the other girl you met same week, maybe probably even same day, but you decided you wouldn't marry? It's because you got to know her, you liked what you knew, and ultimately you trusted her enough to entrust your life into her hands. That's the way it works, even with confidence. Now, the key thing is to recognize that confidence, even though they're into you, they choose you. They are not obligated. I've heard of situations and I have seen where a man goes to a woman and say, I like you, I love you, I want to marry you, and she says no. That's someone offering to be a confidant, and the other person is saying, no, I do not want. So it is possible that someone is trying really hard to be a confidant, but or you don't feel that the relationship is right. Which brings me to what I was saying last week: chemistry, competence, and character. chemistry, competence, and character. The reason why you know, you like, you trust is because you know when you decide that there is a vibe that you have, there is a chemistry with this person. You begin to like them when you can vouch for their competence to an extent. And then you begin to trust them when their character is up to speed. You are not afraid to do things around them. You know that their word is their bond and all of that. In my book, I talked about the 5 E's of collaboration, and the first one is evaluation. I saw on Facebook this week, one of my friends on Facebook posted something, and he said, not everyone who is doing great things qualifies to be your mentor. What that means is usually not, sometimes is not that the people who are not your confidants are not good people. It's just that they are not ordained for you to be yoked with them at that level of mentorship, becoming confident with you, or you know what the relationship I'm trying to explain is like, because sometimes that relationship can be really complicated. But the beautiful thing about that complication is that it is also very simple, because you all know that you're into each other, you want the best for each other, and that helps your flow. So it's not everyone who around you is doing great things that you want to go and sit in front and say, okay, I believe that you should mentor me, I believe that you should be my confidant and stuff like that. So who are these kinds of people? The first E of collaboration, or the first E based on which you nurture relationships, is you must evaluate. The first E is evaluation. You don't want to just open your doors or your life to people just because they look like they've got what it takes. You want to evaluate. And evaluation is very simple. For me, it's a discerning and an understanding of motive. A discerning and an understanding of motive. Yes, confidence are into you, but to what end? For what? What do they expect in return? You want to be clear upon evaluation. And when I say evaluation, I mean upon going through or doing your due diligence, you want to be sure that these people have no ulterior motive. Because the point of putting this kind of material, or the danger of putting this kind of material out there, is those who are diabolical in their thinking can actually take it and form it and use it against those who they want to use it against. So you want to be very discerning, and I call this E, evaluation. You need to evaluate what the motive is. The second E is empowerment. Is this relationship, the few times you spent with these people, do you feel empowered, or do they drain from you? My coach is very, very, that's Anna McCoy. She's very, very particular about people who take power away from us. And she says that relationship is toxic and you should never be found in that environment. When you come around these people, do they add to you? Do they empower you? Do they make you feel that you can do things greater than you even thought you could do? Then when that relationship is empowering, you can say, yes, this person, has ticked or checked 2 boxes so far. Upon my evaluation, their motive is right. 2, just putting them through the empowerment test. Every time I come around them, I am empowered. Third E is enjoyment. Now, I know the picture that flashes in your mind when I talk about enjoyment. Most people will think, oh, social butterflies. No, I personally am not a social butterfly. I actually like my space. And I remember that years ago, a lot of people used to tell myself and my husband that we were not social people, because we will not go to watch the movies, we will not go for the parties, it's just not our style. But the reason why my relationship with Mark is an enjoyable relationship is because we sit down together and we never run out of what to say. As a matter of fact, 2 nights ago, my son was to leave for school yesterday, so we went out for a family dinner, and we're having that conversation. And my husband was like, do you know something? And he was talking to the children. You know that we rarely call each other by name. We rarely call each other anything, really. But we have intense conversations. We don't, our conversation is so flows and is all ongoing that we don't need to catch each other's attention by calling each other by name. It's a relationship that is enjoyable for me. And it's not because we go for parties, like I said before, but we have common ground. We talk about the same things. Our focus is the same, not necessarily because we're married, but because we're wired to, the things that are important to me somehow are the things that are important to him. So you want to find yourself in a relationship where the people you're dealing with, you enjoy their company. My group of girlfriends or sisters, as I call them, are very serious-minded people. We're all running businesses. We're all very intentional and deliberate people. But once in a month thereabout, we go out for lunch. And I tell people that more than the food we eat is that gathering is usually a feast of enjoyment. We just sit down there and we talk about everything. We cry when we need to, we laugh when we need to, but every one of us, by the time we get in our cars to go, we feel better than when we came in. So you want to make sure that you're confident, you have a relationship with them that you enjoy. Because I don't understand how they will become your confidant if you don't enjoy their presence, the time you spend with them. My fourth E is enabling. And I had to go into the dictionary. All of these E's are in my book, Sister Power, don't forget. So you can actually buy that book and just get to understand God's mind concerning collaborations. But here's the thing. I had to go out to check out the definition of enabling again. And it says, the dictionary says that enabling is to give someone authority or the means to do something. What does that mean? It means that your confidence is supposed to empower you, encourage you, bring you up to the point that the things you didn't think you could do, they now validate you to the extent that they give you the permission to do that. They authorize you. When you say someone gives you authority, it means that there is a power they put behind you that enables you to go ahead and do the things that you otherwise would not have done. You've heard about my relationship with my mother. You've heard about my relationship with my husband. You've heard about my relationship with Coach Anna and my sisters, Audrey, Ian, and Ife, Inionok. And you've heard how these women have helped to prop me. One of the major things that they've put in my life is they've given me the authority to do anything that I want to do. And they call me out when they feel that I'm going or stretching myself towards a direction that they don't think I'm gifted for. But I'll tell you a story of something that happened years ago to my oldest son. My oldest son was in primary 4, and he had a math teacher who told him he would never get maths. And I got so upset that we had to change his school. And we changed his school, and he went into a brand new school. And the math teacher in this school decided that she was not going to just take him in extra lessons to prepare him to catch up with his classmates. She was going to make the environment one where he could thrive. And she kept telling him he was a bright boy. She kept giving him additional work to do. She kept showing an interest in what he was doing. And before we knew what was happening, a child who was doing so terribly in one school in the same subject of math came into another school and started to do brilliantly. What was the difference between the first math teacher and the other math teacher? It was the environment that they created. The first math teacher would look at my son and yell at him and say, "You can never get it. Why can't you get it?" In essence, he was saying that my son was dumb or stupid. The other math teacher looked at him and said to him, "You're very smart. I know you can get this." And before we knew what was happening, she gave my son the wings to fly. And my son was able to do well throughout the rest of his primary school, and even through secondary school, he did well in maths. So my point is that when you have a confidence, you expect that they will make the environment of your relationship enabling for you. When you have a confidence and you have to hide things from them, then maybe they don't even qualify you. You shouldn't call them confident, because you have to be able to be open to these people. And for me personally, I can only open up to people who I know will not tear me down, who I know will not ridicule me, who I know will not laugh at me. They will laugh with me, but they will tell me the truth. And after all is said and done, they will send me on my merry way with one encouragement. That's an enabling environment. Now, the journey to purpose is the journey of dreamers. And dreamers need all the enablement that they can find, because it's a tough journey on its own. So you shouldn't have people in your life who are not enabling your journey at all. Our final E is encouragement, or encouraging. And when I talk about encouraging, I mean like it's a mutual encouragement. You find that when you really have confidence, you encourage them today, tomorrow they are the ones that are encouraging you. Remember that when I started out, I said that the relationships are usually give and take. encouragement should never be scarce. And when I say should never be scarce, I am personally not a words person. I encourage the people around me by giving them responsibilities. That's just my way of doing it. If I see that you have what it takes, I begin to load you with responsibility because I'm trying to draw it all out of you. That's the way I encourage people. Now, some people want to be loved up, they want to be hugged. And once in a while, here's a thank you, a pat on the back works for me, and I get to do it. But it's not my style. If you're listening to me and you do stuff with me, know that when I overload you with stuff, it is my way of validating the fact that I know you can do it and you have got all that it takes within you to do it. So people actually spell encouragement in different ways. You've heard the way I do it. What is not cool is to have a relationship where encouragement is absent, because that relationship, before you know, it becomes drudgery. That means it becomes a drag. It becomes something that you're suffering to do, something you're struggling to do. And that is the death or the beginning of the death of that relationship, and you don't want that. So how do I nurture my relationship? I'm sure you still want to find out. I'll be right back.
You're listening to Nevertheless Weekly Podcast by Bidemi Mark-Mordi.
I'm back. We're still talking about relationships and how to nurture them. And I'm taking most of the learning today from my book, Sister Power, Discovering the Power of Collaborations. And we had looked at the 5 E's so far. And the E's again: evaluation, empowerment, enjoyment, enabling, and encouragement. Now, how do I, if I find someone who is upon evaluation meets the bill, his or her motive is clear and is positive, is empowering for me. Their presence or their relationship with them is encouraging. They are enabling. The environment that they create for me is enabling, and they are encouraging. What should I do so that relationship can last? The first thing you want to do is recognize that collaboration is for value. So these relationships are not meant to be relationships in isolation. They are relationships that should birth something. What that means is the confident relationship, even though they're into you, they help you birth something, and you want to identify what they are helping you birth. So I call that collaborating for value. What value do you want them to plug their power to draw out of you to help you achieve? Then the second thing is you want to be open to learning. You don't want to be the person who is in a relationship with a confidant who can't tell you anything. Everything they say to you, you have an excuse. Personally, I find that very irritating. It begins to mark my withdrawal from that kind of relationship. So you want to be open to learning. Understand and remember that no man knows everything. So we need each other. So if someone has passed the evaluation and has made it into your space, like they are on the way to becoming confident in your life, be open to the learning that they bring your way. Number 3, keep the end in mind. When I say keep the end in mind, I'm not saying, begin to think that it will end tomorrow. I'm saying begin to recognize that they are in your life for a season to achieve something for you, or to help you achieve something. It is critical. One of the things that I see, especially that Christians are not great at doing, is being intentional. When someone comes into my life these days, I don't just take for granted that they're in my life and they'll be there forever. I want to quickly discern and understand their role in my life so that I can align with it and get the best out of them. So you want to be open to learning. You want to keep the end in mind. Then you want to make a conscious effort to grow. Because there is nothing as irritating to a confidant or a mentor as someone they are mentoring or in whose life they are in who is not growing. It can be frustrating. Yes, again, didn't I say last week that confidants are into you? Yes, they're into you, but they're into you for the best, for your benefit. And if they're not seeing that you are pushing to bet that benefit, it can be frustrating. So you want to ensure that you personally make growth a conscious effort, because it excites my coach, I know, every time I call her up or she calls me and she says, Bidemi, before our conversation ends, she would always ask me, what are you doing today? And every time she feels that I've been able to report on some new innovation that I'm adding to the things that I do, I can tell the excitement in her voice. Another way, for today, the final way to nurture your relationships is to come as you are. No two-faced individuals make it into a confidence-leveled relationship. You must come as you are. No pretenses, no disguises. Just come as you are. I usually jokingly say to my sisters and my husband that, if I steal, you'll be the first person I'll call. I'm serious. If I ever made the mistake of becoming a thief tomorrow, these are the people I want to tell first, because they will be able to ascertain and help me examine my head and find out why I have gone that way. But my point is, when you get into these levels of relationship, there is no shame. You don't need to try too hard to be someone. So you show up the way you are, because you know that these people, remember, they knew you, they liked you, and they trust you. They've accepted you for who you are. Your squabbles and all, your scabies and all, your scars, your mistakes and all, they accept you. So you want to come not trying too hard to be what you are not. Because here's the thing about trying really hard to be what we are not. The cracks will show that you are not that thing you're proving, or you're trying to prove that you are. So you want to come to these relationships just as you are and be open to learn from them so that you can grow. This is pretty much all that I have for you today, and it seems to be a podcast longer than usual, but I know that you would have enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to hear your feedback. Please come back to me. Remember, we looked at the 5 E's of collaboration, and then we also looked at how to nurture a relationship or a collaboration. I cannot go or live without saying to you that you should never forget that when you discover purpose, then you can live powerful lives. God bless.
Thank you for listening to today's podcast by Bidemi Mark-Mordi. We would love to hear from you. For more information and resources, visit www.bidemimarkmordi.com. Don't forget, when you discover your purpose, you will live a powerful life.